Bava Metzia Dav Gimel continues the Gemara's analysis of our Mishnah. We'll have two primary sugyas. First, the Gemara is going to try to show that the Mishnah does not fit with the Shita of Rabbi Yosi, and then the Gemara will introduce a halacha said by Rabbi Chia, and the Gemara wants to know if our Mishnah can be a right to that or not, and that'll be a somewhat lengthy discussion. So let's begin. The Gemara, where we have seen in our Mishnah that when two people are each holding a talus and they're arguing over it, each one says that they own the entire thing, that they each get half, and they have to swear. So the Gemara says this would seem to not fit with Rabbi Yosi's shita, because Rabbi Yosi says in a case where people are fighting over something, you can't let them each just win or swear or even take what they have. They have to actually lose something, because otherwise the one who's lying has no incentive not to lie in the future. Worst comes to worst, he'll lose, and he won't gain anything extra that he wanted. Rabbi Yosi says you have to actually go further than that and make him lose either way. So his psak is, you take all the property away, everything that they're arguing over gets taken away, neither of them wins, as well as other property, which is not actually part of the fight, they lose that as well. So the person who wants to lie he stands to lose even things which he has already. Now the case that they are discussing is where two people left a pikadon with 1/3 individual. They each left at least 100, and one of them gave actually a second 100, so a total of 200. And they're each claiming that they are the one that gave the 200. So they all certainly get back from him a 100, and the argument is over the second 100 who receives it. So Rabbi Yosi's shita there is that all 300 gets taken away, and it's all Yehimuach, it all has to stay until Eli Yohanavi arrives. And the reason is, like we said, because otherwise there's no risk for the liar. He could always claim, and worst comes to worst, he'll lose. He won't lose anything. Says Rabbi Yosi, no, he has to actually lose. Now in our Gemara, in our Mishnah, they're arguing over the talus. Each one gets half. That means that the one who's lying doesn't actually lose anything. So it should not fit with Rabbi Yosi. Now, the Gemara points out that it doesn't fit with the Rabbanan either. So therefore, obviously, we're doing something wrong in the comparison to these two opinions. Now, the Rabbanan who argue on Rabbi Yosi, they say that only the extra 100 that they're arguing over, that's Yehimunach. That has to stay until Eliyahu Hanavi arrives and tells us who it belongs to. But the 100 that they each certainly deserve, they each get to keep. The Gemara's kasha is that in our Mishnah, they're arguing over the talus. That's the equivalent of the 100 that they're arguing over in the case of Rabbi Yosi and the Rabbanan. And therefore, if the Rabbanan say there that it's Yehimunach on that extra 100, they should here say it's Yehimunach on the entire talus. So the Rabbanan don't fit either. Now, to that, the Gemara responds no. The Rabbanan fit. Why? Because in the case that the Rabbanan spoke about, the mana that they're arguing over for sure belongs to one of them. We don't know which one. So it's Yehei Munach. But over here, that it's possible that it belongs to both of them, so why should it be Yehei Munach? Let's go with that possibility that it belongs to both of them, and that's what we paskin like. We only say Yehei Munach when it can't belong to both of them. A split doesn't work, and we can't figure out which one it should belong to, so there we say we'll wait for Eliyahu Hanavi to decide. Now, if Rabbi Yosi, though, it would not fit at all, because even the 100 that they rightfully deserve, he says they don't get to keep. So here the half, which maybe they deserve, there's a tiny possibility that they both picked it up at the same time. They both found it and picked it up at the same time, so they each get half. Rabbi Yosi would certainly say that they don't get to keep that, because even the 100, in his case, even the 100 that they for sure get, he says we take away from them. So the half, we should not allow them to have. It's only a possibility that it's rightfully theirs. So therefore, Rabbi Yosi can't fit. The Rabbanan, however, could fit. So the Gemara gives two answers as to how this Mishnah really could fit with Rabbi Yosi, and how Rabbi Yosi's case is different here. And Rabbi Yosi would agree that here you actually split the extra half. The Gemara is going to reject the second one. Now, the first approach the Gemara says is because here there's not a certain liar. Rabbi Yosi was saying the liar has to be penalized. Here, who says there's a liar? They're each saying that they picked it up at the same time. They're each saying that they get it first. Okay, no one's fooling the other one. No one's necessarily lying. No one knows. They each think that they're saying the truth. It's possible. And it's possible that they picked it up at the same time. And therefore, half is a right psak. You don't know that anyone is intentionally lying and misleading. Now, in his case, though, someone's definitely lying. One of them gave 100, and he's saying that I gave 200. That's a liar. He has to be penalized here. If you know Vade liar, you don't have to give a penalty out to anyone. And the second answer the Gemara wants to say is the whole point of the knas is that the person should lose, and therefore he should be disincentivized to try his luck in the case. However, in the case of the Mishnah, we're talking about where they found the object. There's no loss. Worst comes to worst, he won't get a new amount that he says that he found. Okay, but he's not going to lose anything. Even if you take the entire talis away from him, it's not going to disincentivize him. So therefore, there's no point in taking it away from both of them, and let at least one of them have it, or let at least them each have half. So the Gemara rejects this pshat because the Gemara says, if you remember, the Mishnah had two cases. According to the way we wanted to read the Mishnah of Maskana, was also a case where they both claimed that they bought an object and that they paid money for it. So if we would there's a loss, right? If we would say that you're going to lose the object, you're not going to get the object which you say you bought, and you're also going to lose your money that you paid, that would definitely disincentivize, because we know they paid money. The question is which one is trying to force the sale. Therefore, the Gemara rejects the second explanation and says we prefer to go with the first explanation. Okay, now the Gemara is a stam kasha on Rav Yosi and the Rabbanan. The Gemara says both of them hold that the psak, when we don't know what to do, is yehi munach. We should just leave it until Elio Hanavi comes, and neither of them can keep the money. There's no concept of you can swear and then we believe you and you take the money. So what would they do in the case of Chen v'ni al pinkas? That case is where Reuven wants to transfer money to Levi, and he wants Shimon to do it for him. So he says to Shimon, do me a favor, give some money or some fruits, whatever it is, to Levi, and then I'll pay you back. And because Reuven owes it to Levi. So Shimon then comes and he says, I gave it to Levi, Reuven, you need to pay me. But Levi says, I never got it. Reuven, you still owe me what you owed me in the first place. So Shimon and Levi are both saying that Reuven owes them money, and they never... Shimon is saying because he paid, and Levi is saying because he never got it. So the halacha there is that they both swear, even though one of them is for sure lying, they both swear, and then they can take the money from Reuven, which means he ends up having to pay it twice. So Gemara says, according to both Rabbanan and Rabbi Yosi, there should not be this concept of paying it twice, because one of them is lying for sure. We should say Yehi Munach. We said there's a Vadai Ramai, they lose. So Yehi Munach, there's a liar for sure. So my answer is it's different over there, because these two people, Shimon and Levi, neither of them did anything wrong. They didn't put themselves in a situation where they need to trust anybody. Shimon says, I never trusted Levi. You, Reuven, asked me to do a job. I did it. Now pay me. You don't believe me. You trusted me. You assigned it to me. You didn't tell me to have Adim. You just said, do it and I'll pay it back. So now you need to pay me. Why should I have to fight with Levi over it? You're going to say that I'm a liar, or either Levi or I are a liar, therefore I lose? I don't trust Levi. I never said I did. Levi says the same thing. Levi says, Reuven, you owed me money. You agree you owed me money. That was independent. I never told you to give it to Shimon. I never trusted Shimon. I don't have any relationship with Shimon at all. You're going to tell me that he or I are lying, therefore we both lose. I never put myself in a situation where I'm in any case with him. I have nothing to do with him. Reuven, you trusted me. I trusted you. You claim you paid, or you got me the money. You didn't. Therefore you need to pay again. And therefore both of them swear and they collect. The Gemara now brings a halacha that Rabbi Chia sent in a brisa, and the Gemara is going to want to know if our Mishnah is a proof to it, and then the Gemara is going to need to explain the brisa more at length, and that'll be a lengthy discussion. This is our second sugya. So Rabbi Chia says the following halacha. It's based on the pasuk, the halacha of Meida b'mixas, which is a shvur deraisa. That's if Reuven says to Shimon, you owe me $100. Shimon says, no, I owe you only 50. So the 50 he needs to pay. The other 50 that he's denying, he does not have to pay. He's a muhsik and there's no raya. However, he does have to swear. Because he admitted to the first 50, he has to swear on the second 50 that he's denying. Says the Gemara, says Rabbi Chia, the same is true if he never admits, but there are witnesses that testify to 50. So Reuven says you owe me 100. He says, I don't owe you anything. Witnesses say you owe 50. So he has to pay the 50 because witnesses said so. The other 50 has to swear that he doesn't owe. So the chiddush is that not only if you are moided to 50 do you have to swear on the other 50, but even if witnesses said you owe 50, you have to swear on the other 50. And the Brisa says the reason is because it's a kavul chaymer, that if your own admission makes you swear on the rest, the witnesses certainly make you swear on the rest. Witnesses can't be worse than your own admission. Now the Gemara is going to go into that. The Gemara first wants to know, is there a right to that from our Mishnah? Our Mishnah had said that each one is claiming the entire talis is his. We have evidence that the half the talis at least belongs to the other person because the other person is holding it, and the Gemara calls that anan sadi. We are witnesses that half of it is his. So we are mezaka. We say the other person gets half that we said, and on the half that this person gets that I get, that I have to swear on. So you see, I'm going to lose half because of Eidim, and the half that I get to keep, I have to swear. So it's the same halacha, you have to swear. Okay, the Gemara accepts that. Now, the Gemara says, what is this kal v'chemer, and why do I need a kal v'chemer? First of all, why do I need a kal v'chemer to tell me that the halacha applies if witnesses testify in a half? The Gemara says you need a kal v'chemer because there's a logical reason to say that the Torah only said it if you admit, not if you have witnesses against you. And that is for the following reason. It's Rabbah's Svar. Rabbah says, why does the Torah say that a mixes if you admit on half the claim, you need to pay the rest of it? Because really, you would like to admit on the entire thing. You know that he owes the entire thing, and you would like to admit it, and you're not really chashed for stealing. If you'd be chashed for stealing, maybe we couldn't make you swear. Now, you would like to admit on the entire thing. However, you don't have the money, so you want to push him off. However, you can't deny the entire thing and push him off, because it takes too much chutzpah to deny when you know it's not true. The other person knows you're lying, you're going to deny it to his face. That's why you admit to half. At least you can afford a half of it, and you wait until you get the rest of the half, but you're not really a chashid. And that's why the Torah says, no, swear, and we'll make you pay it now, because you won't want to swear falsely. However, in the case where he's fully denying everything, it's just that there are witnesses contradicting him, there's no evidence that he's really owes everything and he's just afraid to deny it all because he doesn't have the chutzpah to deny it all, because he is denying it all. And therefore, one of two things. Either he's chashid, and he's chashid amamayna, he wants to steal, in which case we shouldn't make him swear anyway, so you will see it later, or he's telling the truth. And therefore, either way, there's no reason to make him swear. Now, if you would say that, that logic would say that the Torah only says, but it might have been mixed as you need to swear on the other half, not by when witnesses testify on the other half. So therefore, we need the kal v'chemer. So now, what's the kal v'chemer? So the Gemara is going to go into the kal v'chemer a bit and then try to reject it. And this is a sugya that will take us into the next daf. So the Gemara says, we have to show that Eidim are stronger than one's own admission, which the Gemara calls one's mouth. So the Gemara says one's own admission does not obligate you to pay, but witnesses do obligate you to pay. So you see, witnesses are stronger. So the Gemara, where do you see that one's own admission doesn't obligate you to pay? Sure, you do. If you admit to money, you have to pay it. The Gemara says true. That's money. But about knas, the halacha is made be knas pater. If somebody admits that he owes a penalty, a punitive payment, a fine, then since you admitted it, you don't need to pay it. However, if witnesses come, they are mechayev. So you see, witnesses are stronger, they're mechayev a knas, while one's own admission is not mechayev a knas. Okay, that's kal v'chemer. Says the Gemara, but I'll show you that one's own admission is actually stronger than witnesses. And we're going to have a few attempts to show how we can see that. Tomorrow's first attempt is from Carbon. If someone admits that he lied or that he swore falsely, he has to bring a carbon asham. However, if witnesses testify, he does not have to bring a carbon asham. So therefore, you see that one's admission is stronger. It's a pircha to your attempt to prove that Eidim are stronger than one's own admission. Says no, that's not a pircha. Reb Chia holds like Rabbi Meir, who says that witnesses could be mechayev a person a carbon, and therefore, as far as that halacha, admission and witnesses are equal. Now, the Gemara goes into that sugya briefly. Where do you see this? So we have a mission discussing if somebody has two witnesses testifying that a piece of meat that he ate was chaylev and he ate chaylev b'shoigeg, that's mechayev a carbon. There, the mission says machlekes Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim if he has to bring a carbon for that or not. Rabbi Meir says he is chayev a carbon, and the Chachamim say he is pater from a carbon. The Gemara goes into this sugya. What is the reasoning? Rabbi Meir says it's a kal v'chemer. Eidim could be mechayev a person misa. If they testify that he did something that's chayev misa, is chayev misa. Certainly, they could be mechayev him carbon, not only haidas piv, not only his own admission. Chachamim say no, Eidim can't be mechayev him a carbon because he could always get out of the carbon by saying, yes, you're right, I ate chaylev, but I did it on purpose and I knew what it was, and the Eidim can't contradict that. And a mazid is not chayev carbon. Since he could get out of the carbon easily by saying it was on purpose, we say he has no reason to lie. We believe him when he says that he did not eat the chaylev, and that's why the Eidim are not mechayev him the carbon. But anyway, Rabbi Chia could hold like Rabbi Meir, and therefore he could hold that both haidas piv and Eidim could be mechayev him a carbon, and therefore that doesn't show that one is any stronger than the other. So the Gemara says, okay, we're going to show another way in which you could see that haidas piv is actually stronger than Eidim, and that's from a person who steals and he swears falsely that he did not, where he has to bring a carbon asham and he has to be chaimish. If witnesses were testify, he does not have to. So therefore, you see that haidas piv is actually stronger. So the Gemara says the asham is not a raya because asham is the same as the carbon. We already said that Rabbi Chia will hold like Rabbi Meir. So it's the chaimish. The proof is from the fact that he has to pay an extra fifth if he admits, but he doesn't have to pay an extra fifth if the Eidim only testify. Says the Gemara, also not a raya. Rabbi Chia, we already said, holds like Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir happens to hold that the fifth has the same halacha, the extra chaimish. You can have Eidim can be mechayvim that chaimish as well, just like they're mechayvim the carbon, they're mechayvim the chaimish. So therefore the Gemara says, okay, we're going to show you another way, a third approach to show how Haidas Piv is stronger than Eidim. Witnesses can be knocked off. Witnesses can become Eidim Zaymimin, or witnesses can have witnesses testify against them, in which case they will lose to those witnesses, depending what the scenario is. So therefore, witnesses are not a perfect proof. However, one's own admission is a perfect proof. If one admits to something, you can't make him Zaymim, and you can't contradict that. It doesn't matter how you contradict it if he admits he's Chayiv. So you see, admission is actually stronger than Eidim. So therefore, the Gemara rejects this Kal V'Chomer from Haidah to Eidim completely. The Gemara says no. The Kal V'Chomer is actually not from Moed B'Miktas. The Kal V'Chomer is from Eid Echad. Allah says a shur daraisa. If one witness testifies that someone owes money, let's say he owes 100 and he denies it all, and a witness testifies that he owes it, he's not mechayim, but he is mechayim meshvua, and he has to swear that he doesn't owe that 100. So the Gemara says if one witness is mechayim yeshua, two witnesses should certainly be mechayim yeshua. Gemara says again, what kind of proof is that? The witness is mechayim yeshua on what he testified. Here the witnesses are testifying to half. You want to have them be mechayim yeshua on the other half. You don't see that an Eid Echad can do that. So on what they're testifying, yeah, not only are they could make him swear, not only can they make him swear, he actually has to pay. But you're asking about the other half, there's no proof of that from the Eid Echad. So Gemara says, okay, so it's from the concept of Gilgul Shua. The halacha is that if you would have one Eid Echad on half, it would make you swear on that half, and because you're swearing on that, we could also be mechayiv to swear on the rest. So that's my raya to Shnayim Eidim, that they could also be Megalgal Shua on you. The Gemara will ask Akashas on this, we'll see on the next stuff.